How to install a ring set for a CB350. Pretty much I think it's going to be anything that you got out there. Lawnmower, weed eater if you wanted to mess with it. Car engines and stuff like that. I've messed with car engines before, but when I took these rings off, not these rings, but the rings to clean up the pistons, because they were like that color at the top of the pistons, okay? So I cleaned them all up, everything else inside the engine, even though this is dirty, okay, that's just grease and oil. I'm going to clean that after I put all the gaskets back in there. It's no big deal. I cleaned up the most important part for all the junks in it. On this side, stator, clutch, oil, everything on the inside is clean. And one little chain up there held up with the rafters. What I did is I got some plastic. You can get that off of anything. This is not special plastic or something you have to go out there and buy. Usually it's kind of plastic that you would purchase something like this. Let's say your scissors are encased in plastic and they got the little dimples here and it's outlined for the scissors, like you get at Walmart, whatever, Ace Hardware, anybody else that sells scissors. On the back side is usually flat for packaging purposes. They have like a, let's say, a little hook, something like that on the back side, just about like this. You can do it with this. This is a thinner plastic. This is really thick plastic. This came off of the air grinder that I bought to do the port and polishing on this engine, actually. I got that from Lowe's. I made the pieces of plastic. Brian off of Facebook, who directed me how to do this, a very smart guy, because it worked dead on. Bam. I mean, dead on. Alright, he said he's done this before, and to be honest with you, I've always been leery about people's information off of Facebook, but you know, I took his advice on the gamble, and what I did was went ahead and studied up on what he did, what he told me to do. Everything was spot on. Only thing that I did different was that, other than what he told me, was I made these about 3 inches long and about 1 inch thick. So I got 4 pieces, 1 inch thick. I found out that using the plastic, 4 pieces of plastic that are obviously pretty thick pieces of plastic, it makes a difference between that and the thin stuff that you got here. The outer diameter for that ring, they have to spread this way to get around all that plastic. So I had to customize a little bit due to the thickness of my plastic pieces. I made one 2 inch this way, 3 inch this way, okay? And the reason why it's got a crease in it, as y'all can see, I'll show you that in a second. I ended up having to use one on this side of the piston, like that. One on the other side of the piston. I'm just going to hold it together because it's a little clumsy. The reason why I'm doing all this anyway is because I didn't have a pair of the spring stretchers, or what do you want to call it, the tool that you're properly supposed to be using for this stuff. But the guy told me how to do it without using the tool, and it worked perfect, and it was free. Most of this stuff I'm doing is free, most of it. I made a 2 inch because when I did the thickness of the plastic, the rings had to spread out further because of the outer diameter of the plastic. It's pretty thick stuff. It's almost as thick as a credit card, really. But so I went ahead and curved it for the piston, okay, because you don't want to sit there and fight that edge out there with round. You want it pretty much like that. Self-explanatory stuff here. People crack over the engine, get this far, either they're stupid or they know what they're doing. Piston ring kit was $43, so if you screw this up, we got to do this all over again, another $43 a pop, plus 2 or 3 weeks waiting time. It wasn't very nice to have these rings, factory rings, to pop on me, but I wasn't expecting them to be so fragile. I've done car engines before. They weren't that fragile. You just take them off and slide them off. No big deal. These went on. These are brand new rings. Okay. These went on pretty well. They had a little more springiness to them. What I did, and I did exactly like he said. I'm gonna kind of go over it kind of quick. This ring right here, this whole entire ring you see right here, that's consisting of 3 rings. There's a top ring, a middle ring, and a bottom ring. Okay, that's what you got to put on. He said this set right here, Brian said, to slide in from the bottom. Okay, so he told me to put the wavy one, you see right there wiggling, put that one in that groove first. Then you slide the other top ring and bottom ring on afterwards to set it in. He said if you put the two small rings, the top and the bottom, in first, he said he will have a hard time getting that little wavy ring in there. So you put the wavy ring first, the top and the bottom second. Alright, now these other two rings up here, you go ahead and put them in from the top side. Okay, now with the pieces of plastic, you lay them up like I said, just like that. So when you get your rings, and you can slide them over. It was hard with straight up dry plastic, so I got me some engine oil, you know, and got my little squirt can right here. Squirt a little bit of oil inside the grooves before I put the rings on, by the way. Then I also end up finding out that if you squirt the oil on it, just like anything else, metal, it slid right on there. You had to finesse it. It wasn't super easy, but it was, to be honest with you, for me, who I don't have a lot of money to spend on this bike at $43 a pop, I was very nervous of having to spend another $43 for rings. So there's the rings, and there's markings on the pistons. I'll go over that here right now. The reason why, in case you don't know, the pistons on everything that has an engine, has pistons and all that stuff in it, will have a front mark. It means it's the front of the engine, or this side of the engine, you know, the front of the engine. It's this mark right here where my pointer's at, not the 0. Okay, that's my mark. This is factory mark right here. Alright, that indicates the front of the piston. See, there's no other marks on here. Not always is it going to be a mark. Sometimes it's an arrow, sometimes it says front, sometimes it says a letter, or something like that. It's always an indicator somewhere other than the actual factory casting that says front. Okay, it's easier to make a dimple than it is front on every piston. Alright, the guy said to use the dimple that indicates front as 0 degree, 120 degree over here, and 240 over here. The reason is you don't want your gaps of your rings. See the gaps of the ring right there? You don't want them to be all lined up. Like, oh look, they're all nice in a row. Just like that, they all fit in that groove. What you want to do is offset them for this one as the top, or it could be either one of the rings you wanted to do. But just use them so you got 3 sets of rings. So you have a set at this point, this set right here at this point, and then this set at this point. Okay, you can obviously see what I've done. Alright, and you make sure that's lined up when you put it in that engine, obviously. So there it is. I put the bottom ring from this side. I put the brass part of it. See the brass part that went in that groove first, and then the two tops and the bottom. I set that at 30 degrees from. I set one of those little rings right here, and the oil brass one right here. Okay. Then I put the top, the upper ring, at 120, and I put the top ring at 240. Each one of these rings will indicate, like right here, you probably cannot see it because of the camera kind of not all that great. It says the word top right there. It indicates that ring it needs to be the top of the piston. It says top at the bottom ring underneath of it. I'm trying to show you. You might see something glittering top here. So that little piece right here says top. So you have 2 rings. They have to be in directional. This one and this one needs to be in directional. This one does not. You just have to separate the ring gaps. You just take the ring gap instead of having them matched up. You just twist them around. Pretty simple. Guy gave me a really cheap, easy trick to put on rings on a piston. I was nervous. I asked because I didn't see anything on Facebook about it, or YouTube, or Google, or anything like that. It's usually, oh, I have a professional tool. I had a tool to do it with. I've lost it, but it would not have been tightened down so small to do this. It would have, no way in the world would have been able to do it. But anyway, that was for car engines. This is motorcycles. It's a little different. Next, I'll be cleaning this, and that'll be that. Hope the information helps you. Thank you, Brian, off of Facebook. I'm not going to give you the last name because, you know, I wouldn't want my full name out there on Facebook or any other place. Anyways, but there's 2 pistons with 2 sets of brand new rings. Thank you very much for watching the video.